the gift of forgiveness in our lives. As someone said, to err is human, and we are fully human. But the forgiveness, the grace we need, isn't just for things we have done and things we have left undone. Not just for the ways we have hurt or disregarded others. We also need a deeper kind of affirmation, a deeper form of forgiveness, simply for being human. And not the person we would like to be, or we were told we should be, or that the judgmental world around us insists that we ought to be. We need the universe or God or somebody somewhere to tell us, to affirm for us that we are loved and accepted in the most fundamental way. All our lives we are told that we're not good enough by people in our lives, by the events in our lives, or that voice inside our head which never stops demanding that we be more, better, perfect. Before we can love God or our neighbors as we're called to do, we have to come to accept and love ourselves. Before we can seek forgiveness for things we have done or offer forgiveness to others, we need the grace of God. And that's what I see offered to us in today's scripture readings. So the first thing you need to know about the story of Adam and Eve in the garden is that it's a story. If you attempt to take it literally, if you treat it like some kind of CNN breaking news report about an incident in Eden, you'll almost certainly get stuck on some of the weird details and miss out on the power of the story. In order to make a point, a good storyteller will often include humor, exaggeration, irony, surprise, and evocative imagery, and that's what you find here. That is, if you read it as a story and not as if it were some kind of Ken Burns documentary or something. So take a step back and consider the story of Adam and Eve again. This story is not true. Except in the way that all good stories are true. Especially stories that have been declared sacred within a community over time. So what I find in Genesis 3 is an ancient story that reflects a particular social and cultural setting on one hand, but also basic human curiosity and longing on the other. In some ways, the story of Adam and Eve is a funny tale designed to address questions like, why is life so hard? Why is childbirth so painful? Why are there things like poisonous snakes and mosquitoes and great white sharks in the world? Who's in charge around here anyway, and how did things get so messed up? The storyteller doesn't know the answers, but addresses these basic human curiosities, anxieties, and frustrations with a good story, full of humor and exaggeration and poignant insight into the human condition. It goes something like this. Once upon a time, the first man and his wife lived in a beautiful garden where they had everything they needed. They were allowed to get any of the delicious fruits of the garden from any of the thousands of beautiful trees in the garden, except one. They had it made. Life was easy. But they were human. They are us. So you just know they're going to screw things up. And that's where the snake comes in. What a great setup for a story. As soon as the storyteller tells you there is a husband and wife, a married couple, you know there are going to be communication issues and lots of blame to go around. As soon as the story tells you there is one tree, just one, that Adam and Eve are not supposed to touch, you know they are going to eat from that tree. Because that's what we do. As soon as the storyteller tells you that in this perfect garden there is a snake, you know that's trouble in River City, because people have been freaked out by snakes forever. You know this stuff because this ancient story is not about Adam and Eve. Because first of all, breaking news, they are characters in the story, not real people. The story is not about Adam and Eve. It's about us, the hearers of the story. So I guess in a way it's about real people, and about some of the big questions that haunt our lives. Questions like, in such a beautiful world, why do we end up feeling alienated from God, our neighbors, and ourselves? Why do we so often choose wrongly for ourselves and others? And how do I find my way back to peace, to relationship, to feeling at home in the world? That's what the story's about.